Today, we're diving into an ancient story that, believe it or not, tackles a really modern problem: the danger of being knowledgeable without being wise. It's all built around two powerful images, a deadly cobra and a simple raft, and they're used to ask a question that's maybe more relevant now than ever. Are your beliefs tools that help set you free, or are they actually weapons that you end up turning on yourself?
So the whole thing kicks off with this one monk, a guy named Aritha, and he used to be a vulture trapper, which is kind of an interesting detail. Anyway, he gets this really dangerous idea stuck in his head, a complete and total misunderstanding of what the Buddha was teaching.
And here's where he really goes off the rails. Aritha basically decides that, for him, the things the Buddha called harmful, well, they aren't actually harmful. He was twisting the teachings to create a loophole, a way to justify his own behavior. And as you can imagine, this set off some serious alarm bells with the other monks.
So the other monks, they try to step in. They try to reason with him. They remind him, hey, the Buddha has said again and again that these things are obstructions. They are harmful. But Aritha, he just wasn't having it. He was stubborn, digging in his heels, and flat out refusing to listen.
Since they couldn't get through to him, the monks had to take it up the chain. The issue escalates all the way to the Buddha himself, who summons Aritha for a direct, face-to-face confrontation about this whole thing. And the Buddha's response? Whoa. It is swift and it is severe. He calls Aritha a feudal man and gets right to the heart of the issue. See, it's not just that Aritha is wrong, it's how he's wrong. The Buddha says he has a wrong grasp of the teachings. And that phrase, wrong grasp, that's everything. It is the key to this entire story.
So you can just imagine, faced with the teacher himself, Aritha he crumbles. He goes completely silent, he's ashamed, he's got nothing left to say. He knows he's wrong. But the Buddha realizes that just shaming him isn't a real lesson. Now he needs to teach Aritha and everyone listening why his grasp was so dangerously off base.
So this is where it gets really interesting. The Buddha pivots. He shifts from this sharp, direct rebuke to a really powerful teaching moment. And he starts with this incredibly visceral metaphor to explain the danger of mishandling powerful knowledge.
He just poses this startling question. It's designed to grab your attention, right? It forces you to picture it. Okay, seriously, if you had to catch a venomous snake, how would you even do it safely?
First, the Buddha explains what this wrong grasp actually is. And it's not about being ignorant. It's about your motivation for learning. It's when you memorize ideas not to grow or understand, but to win arguments, to poke holes in what other people say, or just to sound smart. You've got all the facts, but you have completely, utterly missed the point.
And this is the cobra analogy. And it's brilliant. The teachings are powerful, just like a cobra. If you grab them the wrong way, say by the tail just to show off or argue, well, that snake is going to twist right back and bite you. The result is pain and suffering. But if you approach it the right way, with skill and respect, like using a forked stick to safely pin its neck, then that same power, that same snake, leads to your well-being and happiness.
So the message here is crystal clear. The teachings themselves aren't inherently good or bad. The result, whether it's welfare or harm, comes down entirely to your grasp. Your approach is absolutely everything. But the Buddha isn't done. The cobra explains the danger. It doesn't explain the purpose.
And that brings us to his second metaphor, which, honestly, might be even more profound. This one isn't about danger, it's about purpose. This is the famous simile of the raft.
The story is super simple. Picture this. A traveler comes to a huge, dangerous river. This side is treacherous, the far shore is safe. But there's no boat, no bridge. So what do? They gather whatever they can find, grass, sticks, vines, leaves, and they build a crude raft. And using that raft, they paddle across to the safety of the other side. That raft was absolutely essential, right? It saved them.
And now we get to the million-dollar question. The Buddha asks the monks, okay, that raft was incredibly useful. It saved your life. So now that you're safely on the far shore, what do you do with it?
And of course the answer is, well, it's obvious, isn't it? It would be completely foolish to think, this raft was so useful, I better hoist it onto my head and carry it with me for the rest of my journey. No way! The wise thing to do is to leave it behind. Pull it up on the shore, or maybe just set it adrift, and continue on your way unburdened.
And that, right there, is the heart of the entire lesson. The teachings, the concepts, the ideas, they're all just like that raft. They're a tool. They're meant to get you from one shore to another. They are for crossing over, not for holding on. So this all leads to the final piece of the puzzle. And this is maybe the most challenging part, actually applying this idea. It's about learning the art of letting go, even of the very ideas that feel the most like us.
And you gotta understand, this is a really radical idea. If you truly get the point of the raft, you'll eventually let go of the teachings themselves. Why? Because they're just a means to an end, not the end itself. The goal isn't to build a perfect museum of correct ideas in your head. The goal is to get to the other shore.
So what does it actually mean to let go in this context? Well, the text challenges us to look at the very building blocks of our experience. Our body, our feelings, our perceptions, our thoughts, even our awareness itself. And to ask this really radical question, is any of this a permanent, solid, unchanging me? The text suggests no. These are all just processes that come and go. They're things we experience, not things we fundamentally are. It's a huge shift from saying I am angry to I am aware of a feeling of anger.
To really drive this home, the Buddha uses one last fantastic analogy. He asks the monks, look, if someone came into this grove and started gathering up all the grass and sticks and set them on fire, would you think to yourself, oh no, that person is burning us? And the monks are like, of course not. And the Buddha's point is so powerful. Then why do we react as if we are our fleeting thoughts and feelings when they are no more us than the grass on the ground?
So when you put it all together, what do you get? The cobra teaches us to handle powerful ideas with skill and respect. The raft teaches us to remember their ultimate purpose. The goal isn't to collect and possess ideas, to build an identity out of being right. The goal is to use them skillfully to become free. And then, and this is the crucial part, to have the wisdom to let them go.
And so this ancient story leaves us with a deeply personal and very modern question. We all collect rafts, right? Beliefs, identities, ideas that helped us get across some river in our past. And that's fine. But the real question is, which of those rafts are you still carrying on your head long after you've reached the shore?